WrestleMania 13. Oh my god. This one's a piece of shit. I'll say this. Aside from the Bret Hart-Steve Austin match, which was amazing, this WrestleMania has nothing. It's literally just a bunch of nothing and one great match. One great match that was so good that I think it saved this WrestleMania from being the worst. This one is just devoid of anything. It feels like an in-your-house pay-per-view when you watch it. Like, I couldn't believe that this was a WrestleMania the first time I watched it. And a lot of the problems fall on the planning of the main event or lack thereof. They put absolutely no thought into this match. It was Sid defending the world title against The Undertaker, which bombed horribly, was a bore fest. And I don't even blame both guys. I kind of talked about this with the WrestleMania 25 three-way, where it's like, look, the feud was just so terrible that how can you blame Edge, Big Show, and Cena for this? Nobody gives a damn, and that's why. But here, it was just odd how it came off. If you go as far back as the Royal Rumble, would you have assumed that the WrestleMania main event was going to be Sid and The Undertaker? No, of course not. Austin won the Rumble, and Michaels beat Sid for the title, so you're thinking, oh, well, it's going to be Michaels and Austin at Mania. Well, no, because Austin won the Rumble in controversial fashion, he has to defend his shot at Mania against Bret, Taker, and Vader in a four-way. Okay, so it's going to be Shawn versus the winner of the four-way. No! Shawn Michaels loses his smile and has to drop the title due to a knee injury, which if anybody who knows what Shawn Michaels was like back in those days, you question the validity of the injury. And that pretty much threw all their plans out of whack. I think Shawn Michaels was obviously supposed to be a major fixture in whatever the WrestleMania 13 plan was. And him dropping out just fucked everything up. So then it was decided that, okay, the winner of the four-way is going to be the champion heading into Mania. So Bret wins the four-way, and it's like, okay, so it'll probably be Bret versus one of those three guys. No! Sid wins the belt back over Bret on an episode of Raw, and leading into Mania, we still don't have a number one contender. It's like, well, Shawn can't do it because he's hurt. Bret and Austin can't because they're feuding with each other, and they're going to have the submission match. Undertaker, he hasn't won the title in 6 years, and people might like that, so we'll just give it to him. And that's pretty much all the thought that went into making this match, and it's a damn shame because it's just awful. That you think of WrestleMania main events, you think of long-term setups and planning and build-ups, and this match had nothing. There was no animosity between them, no reason for Sid and The Undertaker to be working in the WrestleMania main event against each other. It was a mess. And a couple things they could do to fix that. I mean, I'm kind of stuck in the same place I was in with WrestleMania 25 and Orton and Triple H. I really can't think of another idea to put in this spot because I don't want to lose Bret and Austin because that match was amazing. I wouldn't trade that for anything. So what can they do for this main event? Well, the best I can come up with is a better way to set it up. Okay, let's assume Taker and Sid was the plan, and I'm sure looking back on it, WWF wishes that was the planned main event, Sid versus The Undertaker. Let's say Sid beats Shawn at the Royal Rumble. So this would have been his second victory over Shawn. Then he beats Bret Hart in February. That would have been his second pay-per-view victory over Bret. So you would have had this monster guy beat the last two great champions, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, twice each on pay-per-view. I think that establishes him pretty well as a monster heel. And kind of as an unstoppable force. And then you have The Undertaker, who's feuding with Paul Bearer's guys like Mankind and Vader, and I think the Executioner was in the mix at that point, I don't remember. Alright, so have Undertaker win the Rumble. Maybe have a final burn-off match with Vader in February. So then by the time you get to WrestleMania, you have an unstoppable monster versus an unstoppable monster with the title on the line, and you tune in to see which one's going to lose. Both characters are well established, and there you go. Would it have made the match work? We'll never know, really. Sid's talent has always been in question. I respect Sid as a talent because I feel like he was a major factor in redefining the big man in wrestling, but no, he was not that great of a worker. But I don't know, I think if you had actually put some thought into it and planned it out better and mapped everything out from start to finish, the match would have come off a lot better. And it at least would have been more interesting. And The match itself, the way it took place, I really didn't like that Bret Hart helped The Undertaker win, because the one thing that this match had going for it was that, well, Taker hasn't won the belt in 6 years, so it'll be cool to see him get a clean victory. No, we don't even get that. It's just, Bret screwed Sid, and Undertaker doesn't even get a clean victory for the title. That sucks. So the one thing that match had going for it, they fucked it up. And that had nothing to do with Shawn Michaels. That was their own shitty booking. But, yeah, cut out that stupid ending and give it some backstory and some establishment, and you might have a pretty solid WrestleMania main event. I don't know. But, yeah, tune in next week for Rebooking WrestleMania, where I'll start on the top 10. Alrighty, I'm going to give my opinions on WWE programming for this week. I would throw TNA into the mix, but I didn't see the pay-per-view, and Impact... I mean, what is there to say? They hot-shotted RVD versus Jeff Hardy for the sake of a rating, which didn't work. I mean, it's the same thing they always do. They rush things, they pull the trigger too soon, things don't mean as much as they should, and there you go. Same shit, different day. What else is there to say? But I did want to talk about what happened on SmackDown and what happened to poor Dolph Ziggler, who... This is such a scary trend in the WWE now. Okay, does that actually count as a world title reign for him? Because I'm at a point right now where I'm almost rooting for the guys I like to not win the world title and to just keep doing what they're doing, because winning the world title just fucks them over so badly because they're not promoted well enough to be in that spot. Sheamus, Swagger, I guess we can throw Ziggler into the mix now, and a bunch of other guys like that. I don't know what it is with the WWE now. They don't know how to establish new champions that well at all anymore. It's horrible. And he turned around and lost the world title just a few minutes after being awarded the title under ridiculous circumstances. I mean, the whole thing was just a jumbled mess. There's no other way to describe it. And Edge is an 11-time world champion now, which, again, that builds off what I said before. If you've held it that many times, you may as well have had it 100 times. Who cares? And I think WWE wants to prepare a bunch of guys to someday possibly beat Flair's record. I mean, Orton's getting up there. I think he's up to about 8 or 9. Cena's at like 9 or 10, I think. Triple H is at 13. Edge is at 11. So yeah, they've got at least 4 guys that are getting closer and closer to Flair's record, but... who cares? I mean, they switch around the titles so much under stupid circumstances that I don't give a shit if they break Flair's record, Whatever. And so that was SmackDown. And then we have Monday Night Raw, which I obviously have to talk about, and I saved that for last because obviously the bigger news came out of Raw. The Rock is back, in case you haven't heard. And he was fucking awesome. It was great. And basically all he did was he came down to the ring, acted like The Rock, and shit on the current WWE product, which I thought was great. He, ran down Michael Cole. He ran down the stupid computer Raw GM, thank God. He actually made a segment with the Raw GM computer work, which, I hate that shit. I turn the TV off whenever that buzzer goes off, and he made it work. Because... that's just what he does. And he ran down John Cena, which was hilarious. Made fun of his merchandise and the stupid color coding that goes on there. And made fun of the "you can't see me" peekaboo crap. Basically things that I've been saying about John Cena for years now, and he made points of it, which was great. Now, my question, though, is what is Rock's role going to be at WrestleMania? Because, really, just a guest host? Does WrestleMania need a guest host? That seems kind of strange. Is he going to wrestle? I have my doubts, but I would prefer it if he did. If you're going to bring him back, I would want him to be in a big match. Now, many would say have him work with Cena, and I can see where that would be interesting. I would love to see the promo segments because I think Rock would just make a fool out of him. But... I don't know. It's something about that match I just wouldn't like to see. Mainly because I just don't like watching Cena wrestle. I think that's what it is. And Cena would have to go over, so it's like, and not that it would really matter because, Cena could beat Rock 100 times. I still know who the better superstar is. But yeah, if Rock were going to wrestle anybody, and they're not going to do this, or else they would have teased it already, but I would love to see him work with Shawn Michaels. And the setup I would have used would have been inducting Rock into the Hall of Fame and having him and Michaels go into the same class, and that'll be a way to get them to cross paths and set up this WrestleMania match, this big dream match that never happened. I would love to see it. And they could even go back to stuff from '99 where Shawn cost Rock the title in that match against Triple H on the first SmackDown. I mean, they could use all kinds of things to hype that match up, and it would be great. I think they could have a great match together. But they're not going to do that, so I don't know why I just suggested it. But I have a feeling that Rock's role is going to be special guest referee of the Cena-Miz match, which, again, it's like, really? You just want to use him as a referee? Which, you know, Rock will fucking make it work. He'll make it entertaining as hell because he's the goddamn Rock. But I would just want him to be used in a much bigger capacity. But whatever they end up doing with him, Rock's going to make it work because he's awesome and he is such a great performer. I realized that after watching the segment on Raw, you really don't know what you have until it's gone. And when he came out and started talking, I was like, God damn, I've missed you so much. You have no idea. So entertaining, so exciting, and such a great performer because he speaks his mind. It's obvious that he's speaking naturally, and it comes across very naturally. And I can't say that about most of the WWE talents, mainly because they're just memorizing scripts. Even guys like Miz and Punk, who are very good, get hindered by the fact that they're scripted to say stupid things sometimes. But, yeah, that falls on the writers. But, yeah, Rock has generated buzz for WrestleMania, which is definitely a good thing, because nothing else WWE is doing right now has done that. So, Rock's certainly paying off in that aspect. But it'll be interesting to see how they use him in the weeks coming up. I don't even know if he's going to be on TV next week, so we shall see. But yeah, I'm happy to have The Rock back. He's awesome. And that's the end of this video. I will be back next week with something special that I'm planning for WrestleMania and talking about the build-up of WrestleMania and the right way to build WrestleMania main events. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do the video yet, but you'll see next week. So, until then, have a great weekend, enjoy the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, and I'll see you later.